What's the one competence, if you increased, that could make a huge change in your life? What would that be? Let's think about that for a moment. Well, according to many studies, countless studies, and our opinion, we believe it is emotional intelligence. Now, I know you've gone to a workshop, you may have read a book or an article about it and put it aside and thought, okay, that's interesting, that's good. But what we want to do is we want to encourage you to delve deeper into it. And so we offer a 3 or 6 hour workshop where you can look at assessments and you can find where are you specifically at in the 4 facets of emotional intelligence, which we'll talk about in just a few moments here. Because what we want you to do is play at your highest level. And our feeling is emotional intelligence is the floor, is the foundation. It's the building block that everything else builds on. And so let's talk about emotional intelligence. I'm Al Batinga. I'm so excited to be here to talk about emotional intelligence. So there's 4 facets of emotional intelligence. Let's talk about it. So the first part is the concept of self-awareness, and we're going to delve into it deeper, right? So you have self-awareness, then you have self-management, then you have social awareness and relationship management. So we're going to go into it for just a few moments here to give you an idea and some thought and some foundation to move you forward, and hopefully come join us in our 3 or 6 hour workshop. And so the baseline of emotional intelligence is self-awareness. If you remember Socrates, right, from a few hundred years ago, he said, know thyself. In essence, what that is self-awareness. So the key to understanding yourself. Now, in the consulting area, which I have worked at for a long time, there's a concept of SWOT analysis. It's a very basic tool that's used throughout the consulting environment industry. And it's simply strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, you can do a SWOT analysis on a car. You can do a SWOT analysis on a building, on a company. And of course, we can do how it originated was a SWOT analysis on individuals like myself. So let's talk about that. So the very first concept there is strengths. What are our strengths? And according to the last 15, 20 years, the studies have shown that for me to flourish, to bloom, blossom, I need to play to my strengths. Previous to that, it was find your weaknesses, shore up your weaknesses, minimize your weaknesses. Now we know better. We know that we want to play to our weaknesses. And so that's where the sweet spot is. You can make so much difference if you're playing to your strength. Now, there is the concept of weakness. There are some things that you're going to have to do. Let's say I have 10 weaknesses. There's 1, 2, or 3 Pareto's principle that dictates that those 1, 2, or 3 weaknesses will make an 80% impact on my life. And so there are a few weaknesses you need to look at. For instance, what if I'm so good in programming, it's a strength, but I'm not a good communicator? Now, I can still get along, but I will never fulfill my potential. And so that's one of the weaknesses. I can't write well. I can't communicate in a meeting. I can't pass on a thought to you. So that's a weakness that I'm going to have to shore up, right? So W stands for weaknesses. And then the concept of O is opportunities. What are the opportunities? Looking at your strengths, looking at your challenges, what are the opportunities that are out there for you? So one of the concepts is to find those opportunities that play to your strengths. And last but not least are threats. Weaknesses are internal to me. Threats are external to me. So the concept of the economy, the concept of a boss who does not like me, right? Those are issues and challenges outside of me, and they have to be considered from an overall perspective. So for you to know yourself, to be self-aware, and by the way, most people think they're self-aware, and they really aren't. And that's not a slam to people. You have to put in the time. You have to assess. You have to dig deeper. And that's what we do in class to ensure that you are self-aware. And then the second part of this is self-management. We want to take that information that we get from being self-aware and utilize it. We want to maximize your strengths. We talked about that for a moment. We want to minimize your weaknesses. We want to maximize your opportunities and minimize your threats, which means what that says to us is we're maximizing your potential. We're maximizing my potential. So think on that. Think about that for a few moments there as you ponder emotional intelligence. That's what this can bring you, being emotionally intelligent. And so the next concept here is social awareness. So we want to increase our social impact, our social status, the way we come across socially, right? We want to make sure we understand that. We want to understand the world stage. There's so much we want to connect with from a culture, age, background perspective. If we can be socially aware, the world is our oyster from an overall perspective. Some of you read the book a few years ago, The World is Flat, and it truly is. The internet has changed everything. And so we want to be socially aware. It's a big part of emotional intelligence. And last concept is relationship management. And so think about deepening your relationships. If you understand the reality of our relationships, if you understand the challenges of a relationship, you want to deepen and even widen your relationships. Have you ever met somebody who, with a couple of quick calls, can get things done? What's that all about? It's called relationship. They have made relationships with key players in different environments that they can set something up like that simply because they have a relationship. People honor and respect relationships. So you want to deepen and even widen your relationship. You want to understand why it's so important to have great relationships, which I know you do. And then we want to connect with more fruitful and supportive relationships. So those are 4 facets of emotional intelligence. And so in this workshop, what we do is we assess, where are you at as an emotionally intelligent person? Where can you do better? How can you grow? What can you do? What are some of the exercise? And so what we want to do, of course, is grow from your emotional intelligence. And when you are emotional intelligence, don't be surprised. Again, we consider it to be the #1 door that can open and help you flourish in the market, in the marketplace, in your relationships, all over the environment, right? And so we encourage you, come join us for a emotional intelligence workshop. And we consider it a workshop simply because we do work. We get down and dirty, we do assessments, we do group exercises, we do connections, and we take our information and we practice it overall. So you get to practice, drill, and rehearse. And so as we wrap this, we want to encourage you from an overall perspective. Come join us. I'm Al Batinga, and we're so excited to be part of your learning family. We want to help you grow and flourish in the marketplace so you can compete at the highest levels. Thank you.